I'd like to welcome you all to today's meeting. Some housekeeping rules just around your mobile phones. Have them on silent. Turn them off, as the rule says, because they interfere with Hansard. But members, I've received a number of apologies today. Mr. Flanagan and Mr. McQuillan. Is there any other apologies? Members, agenda item 2, minutes of the last meeting of the 18th of March. Are you content for me to sign them into the record?
Yeah.
Okay. And there is no new items of correspondence today. Agenda item 4, members, matters arising. I'd like to welcome, first of all, Kieran and your team here today with us. Thank you for joining us. Members, matters arising. We have correspondence received from Mr. Dermot Nesbitt in relation to our PAC evidence session on the DASD advanced land purchase. It's at pages 10 to 61 of your electronic packs. You will see this correspondence. It's quite an extensive piece of correspondence. It provides additional commentary to our evidence session, which was held on the 18th of February. So, Kieran, do you want to come forward? And members, if you have any comments you want to make on Mr. Nesbitt's correspondence?
Thank you, Chair. It's quite an extensive piece of correspondence and commentary on some of the responses to the evidence session. There's quite a bit of overlap between this material and maybe the list of questions the committee has already put back to the department. If there's anything new in it, it can be captured in your report.
Okay. Members, are you content to note the comments from the auditor and note the correspondence? Agreed.
Yep.
Members, moving on to agenda item 5, which is the inquiry into the DCAL major capital projects, which is at page 63 of your packs. You'll see correspondence from Miss Cynthia Smith, who is the Acting Accounting Officer of DCAL. This piece of correspondence sets out a response to the committee's request for an update to the MOR on the report into the major capital projects. The response, as you can see, is positive, with DCAL reporting that all of the recommendations on which it led are fully implemented. 3 recommendations in the MOR were the responsibility of DFP, and the committee has written separately to DFP requesting an update on the 3 recommendations, which is their responsibility. Members, this is to note. Are you content to note this correspondence?
Yep.
Agreed. Okay. Moving on into agenda item 6, which was our inquiry into the Fire Service, an organisational assessment, review of departmental oversight, and the report on accounts 2011 to 12, which is at page 65 of your electronic packs. Members, we've received correspondence on this from Richard Hingelly, who is the Accounting Officer of DHSSPS. In the correspondence, Mr. Pingelly sets out a response into the committee's request for an update to the MOR on the report into the Fire Service. The response is largely positive, with a total of 8 out of the 9 recommendations considered to be implemented. 1 recommendation was, again, the responsibility of DFP, and the committee has written separately to DFP requesting an update on that 1 recommendation. Recommendation 5 on succession planning and recruitment of senior management is in the process of being implemented. So members, maybe you just want to, it's at page 65 of your electronic packs. So if you just want to take a moment just to look at that, and if you have any questions in relation to that. And I'll just reiterate, recommendation 5 on succession planning and recruitment of senior management is in the process of being implemented. John, do you want to?
Yeah. At the time we were conducting the inquiry, the chairperson, we were critical of that indicate he was resigning. Am I right in saying he's still in post?
As far as I'm aware, that's,
It was announced that he would.
it was announced that he was resigning, but he's still in post.
Yeah, he's still in post. Come to that on recommendation 7, Chair.
Yes,
I declare an interest.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Next declares on recommendation 7, John. Want to just glance on that?
Well, it's my belief that the committee's report was influenced very much by the indication from the chairman that he would leave because he featured prominently in the inquiry. And it just seems, it worries me that someone who was so prominent in the difficulties that arose over a long period of time and his association with others who have resigned or retired is still in post. And given the dreadfully long number of years to try and resolve senior management problems in the fire service, it worries me that this individual is still in post. And I think it's something we need to inquire about, because we did expect a new brush would clean sweep, or sweep clean, and that there would be a new beginning. But I know from my personal involvement in this thing, and having met the individual, that he was part of the problem and was directly involved in some of the disciplinary actions that were taken, grossly unfair, unfounded, and subsequently rectified. But he's still in post.
He did say that he was willing to leave whenever.
Yes.
Yeah.
There mustn't be very many suitable people. That's
Just
the only.
on page 70, members, where DHSSPS accepted this recommendation, on the right-hand side, first, second, third, fourth paragraph down, a fresh public appointments competition is underway to fill the chairperson and the 3 district council members' positions from the 1st of September 2015, with interviews scheduled to take place at the end of March 2015. So that's, I suppose, that's a work in progress.
Chairperson, with your permission, can I also say that in November, an individual was appointed to the board who also featured, was a line manager to some of the people that we certainly had discussed in our inquiry. And again, I have raised with the Commissioner for Public Appointments what procedures were used, and was this person's past experience as an employee of the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service, was it considered when he was interviewed as a person suitable and fit to be on the board? And I believe that may be ongoing. But again, I think the Public Accounts Committee needs not to be complacent that the fire service, after a decade or more, has suddenly decided to be good boys, because the chairperson is still in place. Almost in defiance of us, they appointed one of those who was a line manager to at least 2 of the individuals who are causing the problems, is now actually managing the Northern Ireland Fire Service. So those are issues that I don't think we can simply leave to some future PEC in 4 or 5 years' time to pick up again, because this is the 2nd or 3rd time over 15 years that it has been picked up.
Roy?
I see under the heading of considered to be implemented, under recommendation 7, that we're advised that the Minister decided not to offer automatic reappointments to the board when the first term of office expires in September 2014, so that has expired, and instead to seek a new board and chairperson from October 2014.
That happened.
So
6 months later.
have they simply, have they advertised from that point, or did they extend? If these board members' period expired, was there an extension given, possibly to do with the reorganisation of local councils, etc.? I don't know. It would just be useful to know what has happened. This is what they're saying is going to happen, even though this is dated March 2015.
But does it not say further on that they failed to get the candidates?
Suitable.
Oh, right, so I didn't realise that's a separate background. Okay, sorry, I missed that then.
Kieran, do you want to?
It says 2 appointment competitions, both 13 and 14, failed to produce suitable candidates for the chairperson post and 3 of the 4 district council positions. I think there is a point, Mr. Begsworth, that considered to be implemented. We wouldn't consider that recommendation to be implemented, so I think that's the wrong take on it.
Yeah.
There's unfinished business there.
Don, how do you want to action this? Are you content to wait until the appointments are
It
in
might be
place?
useful to write back to Mr. Pengelly and just raise 2 issues. Because the Public Accounts Committee, more than anyone, needs assurance that after all their hard work and their reports, that actually there's change. Because that's fundamental, it's in the interest of everybody. And those 2 issues that have been ventilated here, the continuing chairperson being in place and the appointment of a former employee to the board, who manager to those who make the problem, doesn't tell me that Mr. Pengelly has sorted the problem out.
Well, I mean, it's very strange that in 2013 and 2014 there was two appointments for, and at those 2 times they failed to produce suitable candidates. I mean, who's to say that that may not happen this time around again, you know, so...
Well, clearly in
content.
November they didn't have a difficulty finding a suitable candidate. Not only did they find one, but they found a former employee who was in a position of responsibility when things were wrong.
Members, are we agreed to write back to Mr. Pengelly just to request that information from him on the
It might be,
candidature?
maybe I'm wrong in asking this, but I'll ask it anyway. Would it be right to ask where they advertised for the positions for the chairperson, where it was advertised? And they did say that they couldn't find suitable candidates. If you're fishing from a very small pool, if you've decided that who you want it for, like, you might be slightly targeted. You know, putting an advert in the Telegraph to come out on Christmas Eve wouldn't really be a good idea for this sort of post.
It might be no bad idea, Chairperson, if we also wrote to the Commissioner for Public Appointments asking him, was he aware of this? I don't see any harm in doing that.
Okay, members, that's 2 action points. I mean, where and how they advertised, and to write to the Commissioner for Public Appointments that he's aware of it. Are we agreed on that action point? Agreed. Okay, members, to deal with the next item on the agenda, which is the ministerial direction and related matters, can I get an agreement to go into closed session for the rest of the business? Agreed?
Agreed.
Committee Room 29. This is the Northern Ireland